Hello, welcome again to the C programming tutorial. One of my students asked me that how can we create our own header files and use them in our own program. So today is a tutorial about that only. So for that, let's start writing a C program, and I'm naming it as F016, and this is an example for header. So header example.c. So in this C file, what I'll be doing is I'll be asking two values from the user, and then I'll be calling the functions to calculate the arithmetic operations onto them, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So for that, first of all, we need to include the stdio.h file, and I hope you understand why do we include it, so that we may use the standard input output functions in our program. I want two values, so I'm declaring them as float type, float a and b. I would like to display a good message to my user that enter the value for a, and then I would be writing a scanf function for asking the float value from the user and storing at the address of a. After doing this, I would repeat these steps for the value b as well. By this point, I would have got the values a and b. Now I want to write the printf statements where I want to print the addition of these two values, and the result is going to be a %f, that is float kind of a value. I would like to give them a space of 7, and I would like just two digits after the decimal. And let's give it some space so that we can align these values, and after printing the value, it should change the line as well, right? And this function will take the value from a function by the name of sum. To sum, we will be providing the values of a and b, and the output would be that it would give me the addition of these two values a and b. Sum is a function that has not been defined anywhere, therefore currently it's an error, but we'll see how to handle that. I am repeating the same set of statements for finding the difference, and for difference I would be creating the function by the name of diff, and I also want to get the multiplication of these two numbers, and for multiplication I just need a function that is mul, and last of all I would like to check the division result as well, and for division I would be writing the div function. If I save this program and execute this program, you will see that there are errors like these functions have not been defined. So these are basically warnings, and my compiler has absolutely no clue that how to handle such kind of a function calls. So what we can do now is I can create my own header file in the same directory, and I am naming it as my header.h. .h is mandatory because .h represents the header file. So my header.h file has been created, and in this file I would like to define my functions that I have called over there. So I have written a sum function, and it was supposed to take in two values of float type. I want to catch the first value in x and the second value in y, and in this function I would like to return a value which will be the summation of x and y. And since I'm returning a value, the return value is again will be of a float type, therefore I have to write float before writing the function as well, so that my compiler knows that this function by the name of sum is supposed to return a value that is of float type. Similarly, I would be writing another function, and that function would be to calculate the difference. Now for calculating the difference, I would go one step ahead, and now I will be writing a if condition that if the value of x is greater than y, in that case it should return x minus y, and if it is not the case, that means the value of y is greater, then in such a case it should return me y minus x. Why I am doing so? Because I want my function to return the difference between the two values and not return me the negative values, right? And now I would like to write a similar function for multiplication by naming it as mul, and this time the return value is supposed to be the multiplication of x and y. And last of all, I will be writing another function for division. So it is a div function. It is taking two values, and this time if my y is not equals to 0, then I have to perform the division x upon y. Otherwise, that means if my y is 0, then return -1, right? So I have written my header file. Now it is time to include this header file into my program. And for that, I would be writing the hash include statement. And here I would be writing my header.h. I will be saving this program. And again, this program will not run and it will give me a fatal error that my header.h is not present, no such file or directory. So what I have to do is I have to remove these brackets from here, and instead I want to place the double quotes. Now if I save my program and run it, then you will see it has got executed. And if I'm entering my value of a to be 45 and b to be 0, you will see the addition is 45, difference is 45, multiplication is 0, and division comes out to be -1. Why? Because if you remember here, we had checked that if my y was not equals to 0, then I have to calculate the division. Otherwise, if it was equals to 0, then -1 should be returned, and therefore we are getting -1. Let's check it for another input sample, and this time I'm taking 45 and 25 as my inputs. You will see the addition is coming out to be 70 and difference is of 20. Multiplication is 1125 and the division is coming out to be 1.80. So I'm getting the right answers for now. Now a question would arise in your mind that why are we using double quotes and not these brackets? The reason is when compiler counters these brackets, it actually searches the header file in the specified directory where all other header files like stdio.h has been written. But I have not placed my header.h file into those directories. Rather, I have written it in the same directory as my C program, and therefore whenever I need to write a different path of my header file, I will always be using the double quotes. If it was not present over here and it was present in some other drive maybe, then for that drive we had to write the complete path to that header file, and then we could have used it. All right, so I hope the difference between the two is clear now. Let us just check where this file has got created. So this was my folder where I had all these programs written. I have written this C file header example also, and see my header.h file is also present in the same directory. But if I copy this file from here and I go to the mingw x86 include folder, and if I paste my file in the specified folder where actually compilers look for it, and now I have the option of replacing my double quotes with these brackets. Now if I'm saving it and running it, you will see that my program is running correctly. This time I'm checking for a new value, and that is 65 and 45, and you will see the results are coming out to be correct. Thanks for joining in. If there are more questions or doubts, you can write to me and I'll be creating lectures for that.